Good morning from Calgary International Airport. My name is Alex, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm flying south of the border for once, to Atlanta, Georgia, on board WestJet's Boeing 737-700. The 737-700 is the backbone of WestJet's mainline fleet, with over 50 aircraft in service at the time of the flight. They're one of the most common aircraft in Canadian skies, and I've flown them a few times in the past, but I haven't actually done a trip report on one until now. Paid upgrades to premium were available on this flight, but for that price, I think I'll stick with my economy class seat. It's a busy January morning here in Calgary's International Terminal, with most of WestJet's transborder flights leaving during the 10 a.m. departure bank. I was traveling to Atlanta with two good friends of mine in order to cross off a flight on the Delta MD-88, and boy did we time that well. Nearly every major airport in Canada has a U.S. pre-clearance facility, so all U.S.-bound passengers clear customs after going through security. That way, all inbound flights from Canada effectively land in the U.S. as a domestic flight, making connections and gate assignments much easier. That went smoothly enough for me today, with the exception of having to explain why we were spending a single night in the States just to fly on a plane. Although I'm flying in economy today, I had a lounge pass, so I was finally able to check out the Aspire Lounge in the U.S. departures area. This is the only lounge in the transborder part of the terminal, but they have agreements with both WestJet and Air Canada for complimentary access. I will say the breakfast they had out was fantastic. There was a lot to choose from, and it was all very tasty. During a busy departure bank, though, it can get a little crowded, and there wasn't really anywhere for the three of us to sit and eat. However, unlike its counterpart in the international portion, the Aspire Lounge here does have some apron views. Although the views are through two sets of windows, an unfortunately common theme in the new terminal and very frustrating for us photographers, it's better than nothing. One interesting thing I noticed while standing around by the windows were these three private nap rooms. I think these are a great idea, but they're not very well marked. I would have completely missed these had I not been standing next to them the whole time. Overall, the transborder Aspire Lounge at YYC is pretty impressive. While it can get crowded, it's a very nice space, and I'd happily go back there. YYC's international terminal opened in 2016 to some mixed reviews. It was initially designed with a call-to-gate system in mind, with passengers remaining in the central area and then given their gate numbers a few minutes prior to boarding. However, after some significant pushback from the airlines, pun not intended, including home airline WestJet, the idea was quietly scrapped. This means that, while the central area looks wonderful and has plenty of seating, the rest of the concourse is rather bleak, although they've at least added some art and some more seats. We'll be departing from gate 90 today, and here's our ride down to Atlanta, a 17-year-old Boeing 737-700 registered as Charlie Golf Romeo Whiskey Sierra. In WestJet's fleet numbering system, this aircraft is known as Tail 007, which has a small James Bond reference on the nose gear door. This will be one of my longer flights with the WestJet 737, so let's go board and head somewhere much less snowy. My seat for this flight is 4A. 4A is an extra legroom seat, which means it costs extra to select, but there's just enough legroom for someone who's quite tall like myself. I really like the design of WestJet's economy seats, since the tray table is actually high enough to clear my knees. I'll go over the seat back pocket contents later on, and there's also a small pouch for personal items. In-seat power is available as well, with a universal power outlet and a USB port. The headrests are adjustable, and 4A also has a very nice engine view. It's a chilly -20 degrees Celsius outside, so that calls for a spray on YYC's East de-ice pad before we can depart for some warmer weather. Here's our departure from Calgary, taxiing, de-icing, and taking off from runway 35 right. snack and drink service started promptly after takeoff, and I went for a cup of coffee, Pringles, and some Biscoffs. It was getting close to lunchtime, so I also bought myself a chicken wrap from the buy on board menu. Personally, I'm a big fan of McDonald's coffee, so I love that it's available on WestJet flights. You can't go wrong with Biscoffs either, and they were very tasty as usual. The chicken wrap was delicious as well. Although a little pricey, as airplane food usually is, it hit the spot. In the seat back pocket, WestJet has the current month's issue of the WestJet magazine, an air sickness bag, their buy on board menu, and the safety card. While WestJet doesn't have seatback screens on their 737s, they do have in-flight entertainment built into their app. This can be accessed by connecting to the in-flight Wi-Fi, and the selection isn't bad at all. Compared to their larger 787s though, I do find there is less to choose from here. Wi-Fi is also available for purchase, with different plans starting at $10.99 for 90 minutes. There's also a moving map as well. The majority of WestJet 737-700s seat 134 people in two classes. Premium at the front seats 12 people in a 2-2 configuration with the middle seat blocked, and economy class seats 122 in a standard 3-3 configuration. WestJet's in the process of refitting their 737 cabins with proper 2x2 premium seats, but only a handful of the 737-700s actually have them. There are two lavatories on the 737-700, one in the front and one in the rear. The rear one isn't a bad size, it was clean enough, and there was just enough headroom. Calgary to Atlanta is one of WestJet's newest and longest transborder routes. It launched in March last year, and with WestJet's ongoing partnership with Delta, it was kind of a natural addition to their network. By January this year, when this video was filmed, Delta's MD-88s flew exclusively out of Atlanta, so this route was the perfect way for us to get there without spending too much. About an hour before arrival, the crew came around with a second snack and drink service. This time, I went with some pretzels and a can of Coke. As one of WestJet's longer transborder routes, we were expecting to be in the air for about 4 hours. However, looking outside and on the moving map, it was pretty clear the weather was not great in Georgia that evening, so we had to deviate north over Illinois and Indiana to avoid a particularly nasty line of storms. That weather deviation added another hour to our flight time, and you could tell it was going to be a fun descent into Atlanta. Here's our arrival into the world's busiest airport, landing on runway 10.
Welcome to Atlanta. The local time is 5:15 p.m. As we taxi to the gate, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and all carry-on baggage stowed until...
All in all, this was a really nice flight with WestJet. Row 4 had plenty of space for me, but 5 hours is a long time to spend on a 737, so I was glad to be on the ground. Although the selection on WestJet Connect could be better, it's still not bad, and I was able to get through a movie and a couple TV shows. The built-in power really comes in handy for that. The snacks were pretty good too. I do like that the crew gave out a second snack in economy rather than a second drink only. That was a nice touch. Speaking of the crew, they were wonderful as usual, and very friendly and approachable. Overall, this was just a really pleasant experience. Being able to fly directly from Calgary to the world's busiest airport is a very useful route for Albertans, and it offers some excellent connection opportunities. I think WestJet and Delta make a great team in the transborder market, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where their joint venture will take them. Thank you very much for watching this trip report with WestJet. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you're new, and I'll see you next time.